Welcome back to Feature Fanatics. I'm Gall, and today we're joined by a good friend of the channel, Alex Helmer, and we're here talking actually about his first short film, a Cognac at the Indy 500, that is now making its run through the festival circuit, and you'll be able to see in a limited YouTube release starting December 22nd. It's a really interesting short about a grandfather's conversation with his grandson at his deathbed. Alex, we're really glad to have you here talking about it, and we have some questions for you about the short.
Sure. Thank you, and thank you again, Golf, for watching and enjoying it.
The short covers a lot of things. It covers mortality. It covers like this grandfather grandson relationship. Um, where did you start with the script? Was it a theme? Was it the concept? Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so thematically, obviously, because the film touches upon a lot in regards to mortality, and so a lot of it was kind of almost. It's not like one moment I thought about hey I woke up and I said hey let me like think about let me make a movie about death. It was almost like a buildup of kind of thoughts and questions I've had throughout my entire life. Once as a kid would lay down in bed looking at the ceiling, thinking about like, one day that wasn't gonna be here. One day I was gonna like, I was it's in that life is finite and unfair and unfortunately not permanent. And so this film kind of deals with everything from that angle as well as kind of religious angle as someone who's raised agnostic but grew up in Washington D.C., which is very religiously diverse. I wanted to touch upon a lot in regards to different viewpoints in regard to death and mortality.
You work with two really great, impressive actors in this, Ron Littman and Jack Weiler. What was the casting process like? When were you sure that they were the right ones?
Yeah, it was tough, obviously, because you're auditioning people that are so polar opposites in terms of age and generation. So I was going back and forth between 15-year-old boys to 80-year-old men who were auditioning for this thing. So it was tough. For Jack, I knew right away. I watched the films he was in before. He's been in a couple other films, and so I knew right away that he was going to be a good fit, and he was. And he won Best Actor at BIFF, and I couldn't be prouder of him. And I know I made the right choice. Ron took a bit more work. He was late to the audition process. We had our eyes on a couple other candidates, but once he auditioned, I knew I had the right guy, especially with the range of emotions that the buddy character gives off, and the fact that he's not supposed to be such a great person, but at the same time, you're supposed to kind of feel for him and his struggles and his mistakes.
What do you think were their initial reactions to reading their characters? Did they talk to you a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have Jack, and I don't mean to be to boost my own ego here, but he said it was the greatest script he ever read. For anyone,
Dang.
again, that's an objective thing. Objectively, it is the best script ever written. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But no, and he read it and he was astounded at the fact that he was reading a part that was so different than anything that he had read for in the past. He the character of Nathan diverts away from a lot of other how kind of younger kids kind of are in his other roles, and the character is so mature but also so kind of immature at the same time. And for Ron, he said it's a part he's been wanting to get for so long because it deals with the five stages in 22 minutes. It's so meaty of a part because he's bottling so many things but expressing things at the same time. The character's unfiltered. Ron has talked about the fact that the character being unfiltered allowed him as an actor to do so much because he felt like he was free.
Mhm. Well, you've told me a bit more about this, but for the people watching, can you tell me a bit more about the location you shot in and how that, as well as the overall almost like yellow-like color palette, helped you establish the mood you were going for?
Yeah. The location was incredibly important. Obviously, we were looking at so many places, and we were lucky to get the most specific one. And what I mean by that is that the Woodrow Wilson house, which we shot it in Washington D.C., it is so specific of a location. It has a certain aura that is so unique. And if you've been inside, like myself, my crew, you're trapped in there for a couple days. But even if you go, I highly encourage anyone who's in the area just to go. because it is so unique of a location, and it has so much history, which is so important because it allows us to express so much through the location that we didn't have to say in words, right? In the first minute when we're getting the opening credits with the music and in the series of inserts, that says so much on its own, right? Without me having to deliver it with an exposition. And the location, we were so lucky. The house actually increased in price dramatically after we shot there. So I like to say
Yeah.
that we were a big part in that.
Definitely. Um, what scenes or shots you think proved the most challenging to shoot?
The one shot sequence at the end, not even close. The
Hmm.
sequence at the
Hmm.
end where he comes out of the house. I don't want to spoil it too much, but he comes out of the house. He walks throughout, like down the stairs and everything, and then back in, which requires a totally a well-rounded lighting setup from but it's a huge one shot sequence, right? So the lighting setup had to be such where it was aesthetically pleasing, but also we had to move the camera in a way where we don't see anything. And we were kind of if you've seen you know the shot I'm talking about. I assume it's at the
Yeah.
end. It's the climax of the film. It's a very important shot, and it was incredibly difficult. It was one of our last shots, but I was so glad we were
Hmm.
able to deliver it. Our DP Spencer was amazing in adapting and being able to make it work because he also knew the importance of it, and I'm so glad we were able to.
So when people watch this one, once it's available to watch, um, what do you hope is the overall takeaway that the audiences take from this film?
I think that, and I think the central message of the film is that no one has the answers, right? In that a lot of the longing questions we have about the biggest questions don't unfortunately have answers, and that we have to deal with the fact that some things we just don't know. And life isn't about asking questions. It's about just physically spending time with the people you love,
Hmm.
and not having to worry about all those things.
Yeah, spoken like a true agnostic. No, um, but yeah.
That's the
So
greatest compliment I've
as we,
received in a long time.
no, but totally agree. Just tell us as we wrap up again about the availability of the film, how people can expect to watch it, because I strongly recommend they do.
December 22nd, it's going to be available on YouTube for a 2 week limited release before we hit the festival circuit once again. So make sure to check it out. TLC underscore productions on Instagram if you want to check that out. Our website for more information, tlcproductions.com. And yeah, just keep up, stay updated with it on December 22nd near Christmas. I wouldn't suggest watching it in conjunction with opening presents. That seems like a very grim idea. But it is, it's, I mean, there's a reason we're releasing it during the holidays. It's a film that has to be watched, during that time period. And I hope you all get a chance to do so.
All right. Well, Alex, always great talking to you, especially on film-related topics, and when it's one that you've created. Always great seeing you work as a director, and I can't wait to have you back on. So, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so much, Cole.